is money, but happiness is happiness. Money's just money, but your soul is your soul. Money is money, but happiness is happiness. Money is money, do you have to sell your soul? Do you have to sell your soul?
In April 2007, a new rate system will be brought into place in Northern Ireland. It's a result of a lengthy process starting back in the year 2000 with the former Northern Ireland Executive. But do you know how the new rate system will affect you?
Vocational pastime. I say you're a slave, you're in a grave and quick rhyme.
A new capital value system was announced to replace the old rental value system. This new system is based on the amount a property could have sold for on the open market on the 1st of January 2005. With spiralling house prices, how fair is this system? Since the announcement of the reform, several groups have come out against the changes. A group of South Belfast residents have come together under the banner of the Fair Rates campaign. Anne Monaghan is the chairperson of this campaign.
The campaign's main aims and objectives are, one, to look at the new system and try and seek amendments to it. Now, we have a number of difficulties. Number one, there's a direct rule minister. Number two, the legislation's gone through Parliament as an order in council, so it cannot be amended due to the normal parliamentary process. So at this stage, what we are asking the minister for is a delay in the introduction of the legislation. We're asking him to delay it for a year at least, so that we can work with the local parties in Northern Ireland to develop a fairer system for the people of Northern Ireland.
So who was responsible for choosing the new system? A team from the University of Ulster, led by Dr McCluskey, recommended the capital value scheme as the most suitable. Alistair Durr is the head of the School of the Built Environment where Dr McCluskey is based.
The need for the reform of the legislation relates to the fact that the old system was very outdated. The last time there was a revaluation was in 1976, and it was based upon rental values of properties, hypothetical rental values. Today, most people own their own home. They have very little idea regarding hypothetical rental values, and consequently there was no transparency in the system. Because of that, it was felt there was a need to reform the system, and one of the ways of doing that was to estimate rates on the basis of capital values of the houses. Today, people are well aware of the current values of their property through such things as house price surveys, and the system is therefore a lot more transparent.
The rates reform is overdue. The system has to be looked at. What we're saying is give us a year so that we can look at this with local politicians, whether there's an assembly or not. I mean, it's 30 years since the last review of the rating system in Northern Ireland. Now, a preferred system would be our local assembly raising revenue through income tax. And, you know, they need to get that power as well. But that's all hypothetical until there's an assembly and until there's, a different agreement or a deal done by the 24th of November. So we have to work with what we got, and that is with the direct rule minister, and that's why we're asking him for a delay to the introduction of the legislation.
In relation to the system that's being adopted in Northern Ireland, we have here a system that's based on discrete capital values. And the evidence indicates that where properties are above the average capital value, then the householders will pay more. If the property is below the average capital value, then the householders will pay less. Now, the government figures suggest that 55% of householders will either pay the same or less under the discrete capital value system than they would have under the old rental value system. There are a percentage of people, like for instance 3% is estimated will pay over £450 more under the discrete capital value system. But technically speaking, a greater number of people will pay the same or less.
Others have come out in support of the system, hailing it as a fairer and clearer system. But is this the case for everyone?
The rates reform at the moment is going to benefit those who are interested in some sense of social justice, but that's a very abstract phrase. The rates reform is going to take better account of the ability to pay of those who pay the rates, and therefore, ultimately, it's the low-income households living in the lower value houses that actually come out of this rather better.
The new rate system will affect a cross spectrum of people. The people who are contacting us range from first-time buyers who are trying to get on the property market, who now have to factor in, as well as a mortgage payment, maybe stamp duty, they have to factor in rates, water rates and potentially sewage charges. There are pensioners who are living in asset-rich, income-poor households. There are people who will just fall outside the rates relief scheme. Again, we don't know who they are, but they're worried in case they don't benefit from rates relief. Now, what another concern we have about the system is that it might actually increase the number of people who seek benefit because the rates bills are so high. I mean, a better alternative for them may be to actually go into the benefit system as opposed to the economic working system. So therefore, we're saying this legislation is going to do two things. It's going to push Northern Ireland back to a rental economy, which is what the legislation ironically was designed to move away from. And the second thing it's going to do is push maybe more people into the benefits system because the rate bills are so high. If they're on benefits, they'll get the rates bill paid.
Here comes the dead of night under the traffic light. Above me hangs the empty shells of a city life. I wanna live my life for the passing kid of our stay. I wanna live my life for those who live still care. Come with me through the angry streets.
The capital value system is not fair to homeowners. It is a blunt instrument, an income tax based system where you pay based on your ability to pay is a fairer system. But again, we need the Assembly to look at that and for the Assembly to have income tax raising powers. I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous that you base a system for raising local revenue on the value of your property. I mean, the system did need reformation. We're not arguing against that. All we're saying is that we have had direct rule here now for 4 years. The people only realised what was happening when they got their rates bills through the door. So therefore the Minister should have had a longer consultation period because some people haven't even received their estimated bills yet. And the other point is the domestic rate has not been factored in. So some people who have had their homes undervalued are sitting with what they think is an okay rates bill. They don't realise come 2012 it will be huge without some reforms to the system that the Minister has decided to bring in. And I mean, we're saying to him, you know, you need to look at this again and you need to give us, the people of Northern Ireland, a year to do that, at least.
The rates are perfectly straightforward. You can argue that the level that's now set is actually set too low, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're paying, we are paying about £600 a household, whereas in England the average is £1,000 a household. If you take London and the southeast out of it, the average in England is about £800. The rates total that we're paying is lower than comparable English regions. What's it paying for? Because of the system we have in Northern Ireland, the rates go into the regional government, and or a large part of them does, and that part goes in towards paying for education and health and the rest of it. If you read that across to the English system, that's much the same, except that they finance their education system locally. And that this gives you a different distribution. But the fact is that our rates bill is paying for roughly the same things in total as it would be paying in England, although it's a bit lower than what the English are paying.
People are not clear, and this is why, in terms of what the rates pay for, we are asking for greater transparency from the government as to what the rates will pay for. People are clear in terms of when the council set the domestic rates, what that goes for in terms of paying all these council salaries, bin collections, all that type of stuff. At least people have an idea. But when the government sets the regional rate, which increased last year by 19%, people do not know what that's going for. Now, a proportion of it might go on policing, but certainly in terms of the new legislation, there's a policing precept that again the Assembly can raise through the rates money to pay for policing.